I used to ask, how do you decide the normal? Is the normal decided because it's the most prevalent? So to what extent are those who argue to be abled, the abled, and the others the disabled? And not the other way around. That should be a very interesting debate, but we'll reserve it for differently. Madam, you're very, very welcome. Should I give you this one?
Thank you very much, Simon.
We could downgrade to Samson.
Oh, Samson. Thank you very
Simon
much.
is a little upgrade.
Thank you very much, Samson.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
I'd like to ask and inquire, if I may. First, some people are meeting the organization for the first time. You just walk us through who NUDIPU is.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. Our dear listeners in the house, by names I'm called Asale Deborah. I work with the National Union of the Disabled Persons of Uganda, that is NUDIPU, as a programs officer in charge of projects that are tailored towards promoting inclusive employment for persons with disabilities. NUDIPU is a national umbrella organization that works towards promoting the rights of persons with disabilities. We work through the national organizations of persons with disabilities, and then through the district union of persons with disabilities. Apparently, we are in 116 districts where we have the district unions that we work through to ensure that we advocate fully for the inclusion of persons with disabilities. Our main areas of focus, basically, as I'd said, is in advocacy for the rights of persons with disabilities. We also do much in capacity building for the relevant stakeholders in relation to disability, and then we do what is called economic empowerment to ensure that persons with disabilities live an improved livelihood.
How do you promote or influence the inclusion of persons persons differently abled or disabled persons? How do you promote and make sure that they are included in the workforce and that the workforce has infrastructure that makes it comfortable for them to work there?
Thank you very much once again. As NUDIPU, together with the other national organizations of persons with disability and the district unions, we have done a lot, and we are still doing a lot to ensure that disability inclusion becomes one of our practices. It becomes part of our life. We have gone ahead and done a lot of what I would call awareness creation and sensitization of the employers to actually appreciate that persons with disability, as they say, can do much more better than any other person if they are given the relevant, necessary, assistable devices, reasonable accommodation, how I would call it, whereby we advise and advocate that as an employer, once you get a person with disability who has come looking for a job, kindly don't look at him or her on the wheelchair. Don't look at him or her as a blind person who cannot work, but what we advocate for is ensure that we provide reasonable accommodation. For example, for the blind, we would encourage provision of the braille machines, the braille papers, because that's the way how they can read and write. Those on wheelchairs, we encourage accessibility, physical accessibility, like the ramps to be in position to maneuver and access buildings. We also encourage provision of assistable devices for those who need them. We have gone ahead and done partnership with the employment agencies, FUE, the Human Resource Managers Association of Uganda. We have partnered with them to ensure that they can reach out to the employers to appreciate persons with disabilities, that they can actually work. We have also gone ahead and done a lot of consultative meetings with the service providers. For example, the district service commissions, we have sensitized them to find out what best practices, to find out how they are practicing disability inclusion. And a lot has been going in that area. We have encouraged them to be disability inclusion in a way that we encourage to provide what we would call inclusive job adverts, whereby how I wish you would wake up and put an advert, persons with disabilities are strongly encouraged to apply. Once a person with disability sees such an advert, he or she will be in position to realize that this organization is actually disability inclusion. We have also provided and encouraged to support the quota system, whereby we are looking at 5% at the private sector and then 10% in the public sectors. Once the quota systems are in place and regulations, guidelines have been provided, ideally we shall see persons with disabilities easily accessing jobs both in the formal and the informal sectors. Accessibility audit is one of the things that we have always encouraged and sensitized the employers on in terms of the physical access. How accessible is your office as an employer? In terms of communication and information, how easily can a person with visual impairment access the communication and information at your organization? We have also ensured that the reports that come out from the accessibility audit actually becomes the basis for the employer to do the adjustments and modifications, because the reason as to why we do this is basically to identify the bottlenecks that would actually hinder the employment of persons with disabilities. And once bottlenecks have been identified, we encourage the employers to go ahead and do the simple modifications to ensure that their organizations are disability inclusive.
And lastly, but by no means least, well, I'll be very candid here, that in many people's mind, the moment you talk disabled person, they come from a negative point of view. Already, they look at the person from a negative point of view. In the same way, in some minds, if you talk about a short man, they begin from a negative point of view, although it is true that they least suffer from backache, which is a very positive thing. Would you say then that it says and speaks so much of an organization when it employs quite a number of these specially created persons?
Thank you very much. That is very, very true. And it is what we are really out here to fight and sensitize the employers. In the past, that used to be the scenario. But I want to urge you right now, the rate at which persons with disabilities are being employed is increasing. Why? Because of the sensitization that we have done with the employers. We always bring the employers and we do this disability inclusion awareness training to them. And actually, they have appreciated. And persons with disabilities are getting jobs. Right now, we have also actually, as NEDIPU, together with other partners, we have what I would call a job portal. And this job portal is basically going to be a link between persons with disabilities that are job seeking and then the available employers, whereby we have uploaded all the names of persons with disabilities that are job hunting on that web. And we're encouraging, yes, it's a new initiative, that has started this year, though it was launched last year, but right now the portal is operational, and we urge all the employers in the house to subscribe to this link that I think I'll be in position to share it with the employers in the house. Subscribe to the link. You will find so many persons with disabilities that are job hunting with their relevant qualifications and experiences on this website.
Thank you very much. Get another hand clap. You can imagine what would happen if you have an organization that has a job that requires a lot of seating. If you indicated that those with qualifications but are wheelchair bound will have first preference. That would be something, but trust Ugandans will show up in wheelchairs. Something wrong with Ugandans. Madam, take your seat. Now we've come to that point where we get into the launch proper, so that we can move over to different business. I saw the vice chair around a little while ago. I will certainly request her company, Anne Mulindwa Nakaunde, the MD, Finance Trust Bank. Yes, that's what I was told. It's a bank. I hope they are around. They are going to walk us through the launch. I saw very good representation from the Human Resource Managers Association of Uganda. I used to know those people. I probably still do. I think the COM chair, technical COM chair, and a few other eminent persons in the room are going to join us for the launch. One of the beautiful things about coming to these events is that you learn and also unlearn, and that happens a lot of the time. So we are going to run ourselves into the launch, prepare your ability and interest in selfies, because this is what is going to be tweeted in a very, very short time. I think I'll also ask my good friend here to join me, if for no other reason, for the fact that he's the only one in a bow tie in a room, and he has put it on right. They are not for everybody, these things. What we will do, we will call the following persons to come and join us in the front. They will include Mr. Stephen or Stefan, depending on who taught you kindergarten. Mwanga from Prau to come and join us here. And then Harriet, I'd like to trust the spelling here, but from what I see, it is Harriet Ayam. I hope I got that right. From ICAP, Mark Devinson from CMC. They used to sell very good cars. I don't know if they still do. I think that Swedish car, Volvo, isn't it? And a few other things. Volvo is not for everybody. It's people for a certain mind who can drive those. Toyotas, that's anybody can drive, especially if it is Ipsum. Engineer Dr. Ogwang from UIPE. The following, please come. And I've also seen the wise mind of Onapito, a Komoloid, also come in the front. Those persons whose names have been read. It's not a graduation ceremony. Mr. Chancellor, sir. please come to the front as we take ourselves through the lounge. Also stay in front so that the pictures look good. I think the chair of the technical committee would also like to join us, and the consultant on the launch will also come. We have a consultant for the launch. He will let us know how the launch is going to be done. But I see two devices, one on this side and one on the other side. I think, Prof, you also want to join us? Makerere changed its official ties, and it's good to see. This one is better than the other one. Oh, is that not for Makerere but for Choose? Both, eh? Okay, yeah. Whoever is designing this one, they are better than the other one. Or is it the same supplier? I have a particular interest in ties and things aesthetic. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to that point of the launch. Where's the consultant for this? You're the one who does. Chief, are you the one who pulls or they pull? You are the one who will. So what do? They just wave. Okay.